Welcome to the Cardinals Squad Show, and it's Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, host of Locked On Phoenix Suns. The Arizona Cardinals finished dead last in the NFL.com post-free agency power rankings. Is there any truth to that, or is the Arizona Cardinals about to shock the world? We'll talk about that.
Jamil Douglas, former NFL offensive lineman. A ton of quarterbacks are now starting to have their pro days. Which quarterbacks could the Cardinals look to if Ty Simpson is not their guy?
Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Let's do some positivity on a Friday. Why will this rebuild work? Let's get it. Come on. Hit the button,
Rise
Ben.
up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
What's up? Welcome into the Cardinals Squad Show. We got a lot of different things to get into on this offseason edition of the Cardinals Squad Show. But first, before we do so, a reminder that the Cardinals Squad Show is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow, share, subscribe button, and follow us on all social media platforms down in the episode description below. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. So the Arizona Cardinals, as we've talked about numerous different times, maybe not to some a bad free agency, maybe not to some a bad offseason to kick it off, but at least less splashy than I think many Cardinals fans thought that it might be, given the fact of how much money the Arizona Cardinals have had. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, NFL.com writer Eric Edholm put out a power ranking of the post-free agency frenzy power rankings in the NFL, and the Arizona Cardinals came in dead last. The reasoning why I wanted to dive deeper into this is because this is kind of where I'm at in terms of where the Arizona Cardinals will be next year. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. They have one of the worst under win totals. There's not a ton of wins, I think, on the schedule, given a pretty tough, again, schedule next year. But I wanted to get Clancy's perspective on this as well as Jamil's, because both of you guys have kind of said you don't expect the Cardinals to be as bad as they're going to be next year. Given how free agency has gone, given how they're ranked in the NFL worldscapes, does this change your mind on how the Arizona Cardinals will finish next season, Jamil?
No.
Go ahead, Clancy.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I missed the show a couple days ago. I got some fire in my belly. RIP JG. But yeah, I mean, it's no, not at all. Eric Edholm is one of the best out there, but you know, he targeted, I read the article too. He targeted the offensive line, and defensive line still struggling, which is true. Jamil said something very, Jamil's almost like a philosopher sometimes. It takes two to tango, buddy. Nobody wants to come play here this year. Like, it's not like that's not good. That's not bad. It's just what it is. So when it comes to this, no. Of course they're going to be ranked last. It looks like their roster got worse somehow.
Yes.
But it didn't. They've still got their guys. All their, a bunch of their dudes were hurt last year. They got a new head coach. We have no idea if that's going to work or not. Like, there's the uncertainty here is going to be a cloud over the entire season. And then you're going to see over $180 million in cap space next year, and all their picks. It's going to be a wildly different thing come free agency. But yeah, this is what they were doing. This is another version of 22 at the end of the 2022 season, just with higher upside. But yeah, no, I still think the Cardinals are going to win more games this year than they did last year.
Well, Clancy, as you were kind of saying that, you mentioned how it looks like they did get worse.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's the case. I don't think a Pro Bowl guard last year from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Isaac Smallwood, coming in, plugging in the left guard position, that's an awesome get for the Cardinals. The right side of their line somehow got worse. They didn't sign a singular edge rusher not of note. They didn't sign a singular edge rusher. Both those things were major problems last year. I don't know. Like, I want to believe in the Cardinals rebuild. The problem why I've continuously had a hard time doing so is because it feels like we are playing 2023 all over again. Maybe doing some ridding of the roster, very minimal ridding of the roster. Guys like Greg Dortch are now gone. Just minimal stuff, minimal cleanup. And you're bringing, I'm just saying, and you didn't do anything to help the right side of the offensive line. If anything, it got worse. And then the pass rush as well. You didn't add anyone. And so it's hard for me to think you're going to bring in a rookie and think that that's going to change everything. Correct? Or
I think we have to have this conversation after the draft, to be honest. Like, I think, free agency, like I've said, unless you sign the guy that is out on the market, everyone's going to be at the bottom of this list. This wasn't a hot free agency class. Like, there was nothing, outside of, the Rams making a move to go get Trent McDuffie at corner, and then the whole Max Crosby thing. Like, there was nothing that really could, I think, put teams over the hump, especially where the Cardinals are. Let's just call it what it is. Like, they're going to have to do with what they have, and they're going to have to draft well. That's what this year is. There was nothing that they could do that would put them in top 15. Like, who would they have signed for us to be like, this was a great free agency period for the Cardinals?
Yeah, that's the thing. And like, as bad as it looked at the end of last year, it's even worse from a national perspective because they don't pay attention to this team every day. So everything is exacerbated. They didn't take in as much weight the injuries as we did, and everything went wrong last year. Okay, we're starting to see the landscape shift in free agency, where all of the good players are being traded. They're not hitting free agency because good teams and well-run teams realize, hey, I can get some capital back for this guy. We know he's leaving anyways. Why not just trade him? So they're not hitting the open market. And that's something the Cardinals are going to have to adjust to. But they didn't have $60 million this year, wasn't even close to the top three, which was well over $100 million. So it's not like the Cardinals could have competed. They're going to be able to compete next year. They're going to have all their picks. This was kind of like a, let's hurry up, get to the end of the 2025 season, then wait a year. Like, it sucks, but they're going to have a far better product. Like the 2023 thing, I don't agree with. That team had a 50% turnover. There were very few good players on that team, let alone serviceable guys. This year, this roster, you've got all pros, you've got pro bowlers on this team. You just got a bunch of muck with injuries and stuff. They've got a lot of holes to fill, but when everybody comes back healthy, you're going to see a significantly better roster than what we saw at the end of last season. So this isn't 2023. This isn't 2018.
Yeah, I don't mean to.
I also feel like the list is a bit subjective, if you ask me, and I know you guys have a lot of respect for the guy who wrote it. But like we see the Ravens at number 6. The Ravens didn't do anything in free agency. They
went and got Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, well, yes, Trey Hendrickson for sure.
They lost like 10 dudes.
They lost their Pro Bowler. You know what I'm saying? Like
Linderbaum.
They lost their center. You got San Fran at number 5. They signed Mike Evans. And then you got the Bills at number 4. They got DJ Moore and Bradley Chubb, who a lot of people have said has kind of lost a step. And so it's subjective based on what your team currently has right now. The Cardinals are in a position where let's call it what it is. This is like the beginning of, the highest point you can get to a rebuild, right? You have pieces on your team. You have guys that you believe in, especially on the offensive side of the ball, like ridiculous. But, there was nothing out there that would fit the Cardinals to put them in that top 10, 15 category.
Yeah, because when you look at the Raiders, Ben, let's look at it from this perspective. Look at the Raiders, because they're going to be close to what the Cardinals are going to be next year. The Cardinals probably won't have the number 1 overall pick. It'll probably top 5 or top 6. They'll have more money than the Raiders did this offseason. The Raiders signed 1,000 players for a lot of money. Okay, they're going to have the number 1 pick. Is it going to work out? We don't know. Usually people hit free agency. Why? Because the team doesn't think they're valuable enough for another contract, or they have other guys who are more important. So guys like Kwity Paye, guys like that who they signed a bunch of dudes. Like, that's the case study for the Cardinals for 2027. Let's see what the Raiders can put together. I know it's a different organization, but spending a lot of money on a lot of dudes doesn't automatically make your team better just because it's splashier than what the Cardinals did or haven't done.
I don't even want to go down that route because that's not what I'm asking for either. I'm not asking for irresponsible spending. I think bringing Trey Hendrickson here would have been irresponsible. They could have done it, but I don't really think it would have made a ton of sense for this team. The issue is they haven't signed a single edge rusher. They haven't addressed that need at all. They went and got the kid from the Atlanta Falcons who was bashing them on the way out. I believe his name is Wilkinson on the way out. And they're going to, throw him potentially at right tackle, or at least be a viable depth piece at right tackle. And again, to Clancy's points, he mentioned, a lot of things went wrong last year. I don't know what Pro Bowl level players went out last year that are going to come back into the fold this year and drastically change what the Cardinals are doing. Like, I think that they had two massive needs. And outside of Walter Nolan, who missed a lot of time last year, they just didn't really do anything to supplement those spots.
The Cardinals are going to be better just schematically. I truly believe that they're going to be able to do some things. Listen.
Does that mean wins though?
It'd be tragic. I mean, it'd be tragic if it doesn't. Like you got.
Because I think you can still look good optically and not win the game. That was kind of Jonathan Gannon his first year.
For sure. And there's a little optimism that's thrown in here, but I would have to believe that, you're bringing in a coach who is really, he's been waiting for this opportunity, and you've got the ability to do whatever you want on offense. Like I said, I would like to revisit this question after the draft, because they go ahead and they draft right tackle at number 3, or if they, draft a edge rusher at number 3. Now the free agent signings make sense. Like, everybody forgets, like, the offseason is all one piece. Like, free agency and the draft are all put together in building a team. It's not like, because we address this in free agency, let's evaluate our team now. The evaluation part of the offseason is not over until after the draft.
Yeah, and luckily, for other teams, they have way more pieces in place, so they don't have as much pressure on to go get guys in free agency in the draft like the Cardinals do. But yeah, you're right. It's one piece of the puzzle that is the offseason. I agree. Yes, the Cardinals are going to have massive holes next year. Okay, it's going to be a determining factor on what they deem to be more important: offensive line or pass rush. That's what's going to be at number 3. And we don't know what's going to be. You can make an argument for both equally as strong. For me, what terrifies me about that is there are a couple tweener dudes. Sonny Styles is not anything really. He played safety. He's played close to the line of scrimmage. He's Isaiah Simmons, but a better version. Why would you want to subject yourself to that when you can just have a pass rusher at 3? I get that. But there was never going to be a way for the Cardinals to fill all their holes this offseason up until this point, as Jamil is saying. So this is like the caterpillar going into the cocoon, and we're just chilling for a year. Like, that's the dumbest way I could say it. Like, that's dumb. But that's what it is. Like,
who would you, Ben, who would have made this signing or this free agent period for you worthwhile? Listen, wait. Outside of Trey Hendrickson,
What about Braden Smith? What about Joel Bitonio, who we've talked about on this show? What about Teller? I believe his name was. We missed it. Wyatt Teller. What about Rashid? Listen, I know Rashid Walker ain't great, but he got a contract for $4 million. I would have liked to take a swing on Rashid Walker at and see what he looked like at right tackle. I know he didn't play right tackle, but $4 million, $4 million. Like, sure. The problem is I'm not looking for Trey Hendrickson. I'm not looking for a Max Crosby deal. What I am looking for is for them to seem like they're attacking their positions, because it seems like the more and more that we talk about this, I feel less confident about next year, because everyone tells me they're not tanking because teams don't tank, and I don't think players tank.
You gotta wait till the draft. Okay, so all right. So then, to my point, they go ahead and they draft a pass rusher or right tackle at number 3. Now, do you now say, okay, they've addressed the need of either one of those positions, and you're a little happier with where the signings are, or is it still not enough?
I'll feel better about it, but given how bad the injuries were last year, I wish there would be more depth on this defensive and offensive line, rather than just saying, our guys are going to be more healthier next year.
Well, I think that's a slippery They brought in 5 offensive linemen this offseason. They've got the depth, and I'm sure they're going to bring Kelvin Beachum back also. No, they've got depth. They brought in 4 offensive linemen. They didn't sign Joe Bitonio because they brought in Isaac Seumalo, which arguably is a better option, because Joe Bitonio would have been more expensive. And he's got more injuries as of late. Like Wyatt Teller went and signed somewhere else. I think he signed, I can't remember if it was with Houston or something. I can't remember. He went and signed somewhere else. Carolina, God, I can't remember. Chargers? Jeez, I can't remember. But listen, nobody wanted to come here this offseason. On top of the fact that the Cardinals didn't want to overpay for people just because they were free agents. Like, thinking pragmatically and rationally about this is exactly what the Cardinals deserve the offseason to look like with where they are right now. So it's not that Monti didn't try, but he's not going to force anything either. So that's not a defeatist mentality. It's a realist mentality. The Cardinals were dog bleep last year at 3-14. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, regardless of injuries. They don't know who their quarterback for the future is going to be. It's a first-time head coach. You have no idea what the team is going to be in 2026. So why would you want to come here?
I've heard Clancy say during this that like they're probably going to have a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah.
But you still think they're going to have more wins.
Yeah.
I mean, forget the wins thing, because I think there's a world where the Cardinals win 4 games, but still look worse than they did last year because they won 3 games last year. You think that they're going to be better. That's what you still think they're going to be better.
More balanced. I think Jamil agrees with me. I mean, don't even put words in your mouth. Like I think, imagine Trey McBride with an offensive-minded head coach. He's never had it. He had it with Cliff, but he was behind Zach Ertz, so it didn't even matter. It didn't even count. He was a pup. Imagine this offense with an offensive-minded head coach and Nathaniel Hackett, who's been around for 100 years. It's going to immediately look different, literally immediately.
I think schematically they're going to give people a lot more problems than they did last year. It was very vanilla last year. Watching the games, I mean, even us in the preseason, like I remember vividly us just seeing go routes, like, and then that carried over into the regular season. Like, I truly believe that they're going to get a boost in production based off of schematics, and that's going to help them stay in games. Hopefully there will be games that they get blown out in. That's just part of a rebuild and part of a new coaching staff and going through those things. But like, I think schematically they'll be able to give teams issues this upcoming season.
I got another question as it pertains to Monti Ossenfort, but we've ran over. We'll wait till the final segment for me to throw that back out at you guys. We've talked a little bit about Ty Simpson. Clancy wasn't here for the Ty Simpson talk. I did watch one of his shows the other day, and I do want to ask him a question about maybe he's turning a new leaf on Ty Simpson, but that'll be as far as we go with him. Drew Aller just had his pro day. Carson Beck is rising up draft boards, given how well he played this last season with Miami. Garrett Nussmeier was supposed to be a high draft pick this time last year, but now potentially is falling down draft boards. Where should the Arizona Cardinals go at potentially drafting a quarterback or not doing it at all? Should it be someone for the future, or could they just be drafting for a backup? There's more to this conversation than my guy Clancy thinks, and we're going to talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour flavor energy draft. I'm going to go with cherry. Bold cherry candy style flavor, sweet with a light tart edge, classic red fruit profile, bright punchy taste, smooth and easy to recognize, clean and a slightly tangy finish. I'm all for the underdogs as well. So you want an underrated one? How about sour apple? The apple that bites back, a crisp, tangy taste with deliciously tart, bold, a little sweet, and a lot of sour. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with 0 sugar, and 5 Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming other flavor initiatives planned. So keep an eye out for those and find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. So the segment is not supposed to be Ty Simpson, and it's not going to fully be Ty Simpson, but Clancy, it seemed like him and I were on the same side here when it came to Ty Simpson. I think Jamil was here as well, where you can't spend a first-round pick on Ty Simpson. I don't necessarily think you could really spend an early second-round pick on Ty Simpson because I think it matters what he's coming into. And I think someone like Ty he's got to have real stability around him. I watched the show that Clancy put out the other day on Ty Simpson. It seems like you might be coming around on him. Is there a world, Clancy, just briefly, where you would select him late in the first round or potentially early in the second round now? Is there something that has changed for you or no?
No. So what I talked about on the show was there are upsides and downsides to doing it. The best case scenario for the Cardinals for this year and next year is if they drafted Ty Simpson and it worked. If they drafted Ty Simpson and it worked, then they'd have a top 7 pick, their quarterback already in the bag, and $200 million to spend. So you could spin that 5th, 6th, 7th overall pick for multiple picks, trade down for quarterback needy teams. That's the best case scenario, and also the most far-fetched one of all of them. I think it would be irresponsible for the Cardinals to draft a quarterback in this draft with the needs that they have elsewhere. You want to draft Drew Aller in the 3rd or 4th, or Garrett Nussmeier in the 4th, whatever. This is what you don't want, Benjamin. This is what you don't want. I don't know why I was accosting you right there. It's like your principal's office. This is what you don't want, Benjamin, is you don't want we think this is the guy. Pass on somebody next year and have him not be the guy. So they're like, okay, hey, kids, you get a prize if you walk 100 steps without saying a word and then cross the finish line. The Cardinals are at step 98 about to scream. And it's like, no, chill, wait another calendar year. You've got all of King Midas's gold in 2027 draft. Why try and force it this year for a probably won't, but could be, and it'll excite the fans. I don't think it's there. Jamil, let me ask you, if you were a starting quarterback behind that offensive line and you're starting week 14 when the Cardinals are 2-12, how much real evidence, hardcore evidence can you get for how good a quarterback is behind that offensive line?
Yeah, not much, especially at that point in the season, given what the record is. It will be very tough.
So that's been I made the case for it because I think it's a fun exercise. You should be able to argue the opposite of what you think, always. You should be able to always argue it. And I did, and it's like, well, listen, it'd be fun. It would be exciting. If he's the dude, then you load up on offensive line, in the first round and then in free whatever later rounds and then next year, and you just go with it. And you could look like a genius. Monti Ossenfort could have an extension in place before 2027 if Ty Simpson's the guy. But if he's not, or if you don't know if he is, and you draft him and he's not, then you have to take a quarterback in 2027 also, and then you have a Kirk Cousins RG3 situation in Washington. Like, hey, let's figure it out. And they wasted a 1st and a 2nd round pick, and they still don't know who the quarterback is. It's a slippery slope.
If they did draft Ty Simpson, would you want to see him right away? This is the argument we put out on Tuesday.
Absolutely not.
I think you have
that's the biggest fallacy in sports.
That's
starting a rookie quarterback day one. I think it's the biggest fallacy ever.
It is. But I think where the Cardinals are, they have to start him because
you got to figure it out
because they need to know if they're going to be drafting a quarterback the following season.
If they draft him in the 2nd round, they know that they are not going to draft a quarterback in the 1st round of next year. They have to.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
The best quarterbacks in the history of sport, and I'm not comparing Ty Simpson or anybody else to that. Tom Brady, sat. Patrick Mahomes, sat. Brett Favre, sat. Aaron Rodgers, sat. Everybody sat. Everybody sat for a year. I'm not saying that. Sit 10 weeks. Sit 8 weeks. Let Jacoby run it. This guy's a kid. I just don't. There's no upside to just be like, okay, go get him. Go get him, Buckaroo. Let's see.
Go get him, Tiger. Go get him, Tiger.
So you think you got to start him regardless because the clock is ticking to see if he's at home?
Yeah, just given where you're at as an organization. The bad part about it all is there is no promise that next year there's going to be a quarterback that you have complete faith in drafting. And so the Cardinals, we could be sitting here next year. I pray. I listen, Ben. Listen. I enjoy the show with you, but God, if we're
hear that, everyone. He said he enjoys the show with me. You hear that, everyone?
Yeah.
He just texted me, fingers crossed.
Yeah, take it for what it's worth. But no, seriously, we could be sitting here next season talking about the same thing. And I said it a couple weeks ago. There's a reason all of these guys, the Dante Moores, the Manning kid, there's a reason they all went back to college. And it's because they weren't ready for the moment. And so there's a huge looming cloud that the Cardinals may not ever get that young guy that is ready. The landscape of college football and football as a whole and quarterback play in the league has changed drastically. All of these guys that we're accustomed to saying, oh yeah, just because you drafted that guy in the 1st round, it's been tapering off in terms of who can pan out, and you just don't get that anymore. And so this could be a situation in where I believe, First off, I don't believe the Cardinals should draft Ty Simpson in the first round, second round. If you get him in the third, you get him in the third, fourth.
Yeah,
whatever.
there's a value to it where you have to, like
For
third,
sure.
fourth. Yeah,
for sure. I believe that you address what you need, and I believe that the Cardinals need to address up front, offensive line and defensive line. I truly believe that. I think that you are in a position where you can kind of save yourself the headache and say, if I draft offensive line, I know what I have at quarterback with Jacoby or Gardner Minshew. At least you've had the sample size with these guys to know what they can do and know what they can't do. It's not sexy. Trust me, it's not the flashy, we got our guy for the future, but sometimes it doesn't have to be that way. You draft what you need, and then, God willing, next season, whether it's through free agency or it's through the draft, you get a quarterback. I truly believe the Cardinals are going to be in a position where they're trying to sign a free agent quarterback that has ended their deal, and that's probably best for them.
See, that's it. That's the thing that people are missing. Before we move on, I know this isn't exactly the same we were talking about, but this is like, listen, I don't think people understand what $200 million in cap space is. Like, you could, if you're me,
Jamil might come out of retirement.
If you offer me, I don't think he wants to play for the Cardinals right now. You offer me Ty Simpson or a 5th overall pick for a quarterback, or trade 2 firsts and a second for Joe Burrow, I'm doing that. Like, at some point, you've got to break the cycle. There's going to be quarterbacks available next year via trade that aren't happy with where they are. Joe Burrow is one losing season and not making the playoffs away from saying, get me out of here. You can feel it. It's there. It's there. And it's Cincinnati. And I know it's another bad organization. Zach Taylor is going to get fired. I'm giving 2 firsts and restructuring and extending Joe Burrow, and he's the quarterback for the future. You ain't got to worry about anything else. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving number 5 overall, 2028 first, and 2027 second for Joe Burrow. I'm not messing with a young quarterback. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's the opportunity, that's something that, Monti, you want to save your job, Monti, what everybody's saying with that, you do that. You don't hope that, because Jamil's right. 8 out of 10 quarterbacks usually aren't starter mentality, starter, like, franchise guys, regardless of where they get drafted. So, yeah. It's a lot more than just hoping, but with Ty Simpson, it's like, I think it'd be an institutional failure to draft a quarterback this year outside of the 4th round and later.
Yeah, I think we all need to prepare next week. I believe Ty Simpson's pro day I believe it's next Thursday or Wednesday. The propaganda is going to get crazy after his pro day, because it's going to be scheduled workouts. It's going to be sitting, it's going to be what Drew Aller was the other day. And it's exactly kind of where I was going to. Jamil, I don't know if you had a pro day. I'm sure you did.
I did.
And I do think it is fair to prepare Cardinals fans, like, for the pro day propaganda is what I call it. What goes into those? How scripted are they? And how easy is it to make yourself look awesome as a quarterback? How about that?
I mean, I can only go off of what I've watched through quarterback pro days.
You're up close, right? You're up close.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been to a few pro days since leaving college. And so I'm not a fan of quarterbacks and pro days. Like cool, cool. You threw it across the field with nobody in your face and not reading a defense. Now, what I believe matters most is when these quarterbacks go on these visits and there's board work and there's all of those things that, hey, tell me what this defense is, or tell me what this formation is. Now flip it and, make the X to Z and the Z to Y and all of this. And you were going to run this concept. Tell me your favorite concept. Those are the things that I think matters the most, because now you get to hear how the quarterback communicates under pressure and also how he thinks under pressure. This whole, he was on one side of the field and threw it all the way to the back pylon. I don't care. We don't see that in games a ton. And the guys that we do see it from are a select few. There's about 3 or 4 of them every Sunday that can do that. The rest of them, like the pro day, I feel like it gets blown out of proportion. That being said, it's going to continue to happen. And I guess you can get a lot out of seeing mechanics, but I don't believe that you can judge a guy throwing a slant route at his pro day to what it looks like at Sunday at 1:00 in the third quarter. You know, when someone's throwing a slant route and there's a linebacker and a defensive lineman's hands and a safety that he has to fit it in between. Like, I just don't believe that you can really gauge it off of that. But that being said, I think you can get mechanic work. That's it.
Yeah, it's a Zach Allen. It's the Zach Wilson effect. One throw got him the second overall pick. I know that was at the combine, but one throw at the combine got him number 2 overall.
I mean, look, Cam Newton about a year ago went out and participated in Auburn's pro day. Looked great. Like, do we think that Cam Newton would be able to go out there at this age and throw it the same way and be productive? He does, you know, but outside of that,
might still be able to run it.
Yeah, for sure. Until, you know, the hits start adding up, but it's just not realistic to me, man. It doesn't give. Yeah. I think the board work and the meetings is really where guys make their hay at, and coaches can really figure out if that's their guy when they go into those meetings.
I just think we really have to prepare for Ty Simpson next week when his pro day happens, and get ready for that kind of propaganda and potentially where that can move him up the boards. Here's the other thing I wanted to ask you guys before we move on. Clancy mentioned this, and this was a question I was going to ask. He already said he would not draft a quarterback in this draft. Jamil, would you draft a quarterback? And for what?
When are we talking?
Hey, would you draft a quarterback in this draft? That's the question.
Sure. You know, I guess if I can get one in the 3rd or 4th round, I'll get one.
Is there someone you like, and what are you lining them up for?
No.
There's a reason I'm asking this question.
No, there's no one I like enough to put enough stock in, which is why I'm saying, sure, if they get one in the 3rd round. Me particularly, I'm staying away from Alabama quarterbacks. It's nothing against the Roll Tide. That's just,
but also kind of against the Roll Tide.
Hey, no, it's more so product on the field and just basing things off of you've seen Next Gen, right? You've watched a Thursday night football game, right?
Yep.
Like, we've all watched that, bro. The stats are the stats. Alabama quarterbacks have a hard time transitioning into the NFL. The number is very slim. So maybe I would go with Drew Aller or someone like that. You know, I would stay away from an Alabama quarterback. Yeah,
especially one who's only played 15 games.
Yeah.
He's only started 15 games.
So, and we'll move on right after this, but I want to ask this. The reasoning why I would draft a quarterback in this draft is because I do think there is a world where the Arizona Cardinals can find a cheap option at the backup quarterback spot for years to come in the day 3, 5, 6, 7. I think a guy that makes a lot of sense for this, who's had a lot of starts, who's been to a national championship game, is Carson Beck. Big player, kind of fits the profile of what Mike LaFleur has dealt with. Like, I think there is a world where you do want to get cheaper at the backup quarterback spot, given the money that you allocated to Kyler Murray this year, and you're still paying Jacoby Brissett. I do think you might want to find that down the road, like you tried to find with Clayton Tune. Clancy, you look at me like I'm crazy. You wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'm
looking at you like crazy. You don't draft a quarterback so he's a backup. Plus, Carson,
6th round, 7th round. You don't think
Carson
that's
Beck's
valuable?
Going. I would be shocked if Carson Beck made it past the 3rd round.
That's crazy. I would never.
I'd be shocked.
Okay, well,
I'd be shocked because here's the thing. This is what happens. I talked about this right when the season ended. Ty Simpson is going to go in the 1st round, 100%. Carson Beck, somebody else is going to go in the 2nd round. It's the same thing that happens every damn year. People look at the options like, well, let's force it, and they draft him. If Tyson, Michael Penix went 9th overall 2 years ago, dude. Like, it happens every single year. Some team is going to take Ty Simpson in the first 2 rounds, and it's I think he'd be graded a 3rd round guy next year. So yeah, no, Carson Beck, no. You need a veteran backup always when you have a rookie quarterback. Or when you have a young quarterback, you always need a veteran backup, and there will be them for years to come. And no shot.
That's fair. Carson Beck thing, holy cow, 3rd round quarterback would be.
I think he'd be a 3rd round guy.
Yeah, I think he's like 25, if I'm not mistaken. He's an older player.
9 years. He graduated 3 years ago.
That's why I'm saying there's a reason why I picked the most seasoned quarterback to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. It's why I did take, whoever. Anyways,
it's a good take. It's a good take, guys.
Which one's a good take?
I mean, I can see the Carson Beck thing. Like, I can see it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here while I can, then. I'm going to get out while I'm ahead. Early position battles for the Arizona Cardinals. More specifically, we'll get into a few other things, but more specifically, the guys that have just signed with the Cardinals and how it fits in the Cardinals depth chart. Let's talk about that. Let's do it next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night from early tip-off to late-night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits what you're looking for. You can mix spreads, totals, player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you could apply that profit boost and instantly bump up that potential payout. Listen, if you're looking for, it feels like a sure thing right now. Did you see U of A today? You see U of A just absolutely annihilate Long Island, I believe it was. I already forgot their name. They got another easy matchup coming up here. You might just want to put some money on U of A to continuously advance and hopefully reach that first for them. Final Four in the first time since 2001. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season long. It's your parlay, your style. Now with more upside behind it, head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So this was inspired by a fellow colleague of the Cardinal Squad Show, our sixth man, if you will, Donnie Drew, and he put out a article the other day you should check out on CardinalsOnSI.com. 4 position battles, free agency just created for the Arizona Cardinals. Really, 2 of them genuinely caught my eye, and the first one that we'll talk about is the Tyler Allgeier acquisition for the Cardinals, because I haven't really thought about this guy since the Cardinals have gotten now Tyler Allgeier and James Conner is back. We know Tyler Allgeier is probably the starting back. We know James Conner is probably the third down back, can catch the ball pretty well out of the backfield. Also third and short. He probably split that some of the workload catching the ball with Tyler Allgeier. Where does that put Trey Benson? We can talk about the who starts, who doesn't, what it looks like, but they did draft Trey Benson with a 3rd round pick. We have seen some pop and flash for him, but is the writing on the wall? Is Trey Benson going to make it out of training camp, Clancy?
Yes. 1,000,000%.
That might be a little far for sure. Might be a little far.
The best ability is what, Jamil? As you're muted? Say it again. So
Availability.
Yeah. So what you want is one back between James Conner and Trey Benson. You want 17 games between the 2 of them. I think Tyler Allgeier can 100% be a 70-30 split guy. But Mike LaFleur, he's made Blake Corum relevant. He and Kyron Williams both got over 15 touches a game and then a couple passes. So it's going to be predicated upon Trey Benson beating out James Conner. James Conner's not going to get cut. They're going to run with 3 dudes. But I don't think that Trey Benson's going to be, relegated to the Michael Carter role, where it's only after they're out of contention, which will probably be the first second of week 1. But, no. I think the competition is going to be a lot less than people think. I'd be shocked if James Conner's rolled out as the starter week 1. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, he ain't going to be a starter.
And then Trey Benson, I don't know, man. They'll run 3 backs. I mean, Tampa Bay did it last year with Sean Tucker.
Let Jamil,
go ahead,
Jamil. Jamil, go.
Okay, so Trey Benson will make it out of training camp for sure.
That's fair. That's totally
He'll
fair.
make it out of training camp. He will be on the team. He will have a role. Now that role is going to be slim.
Handing out water is the role.
The role is going to be slim. I wouldn't put him that far down, but it's going to be slim. If Mike LaFleur is going to adapt to what Sean McVay does and will continue to do in Los Angeles, there's going to be 2 backs that get the majority of the snaps. And so you've got your 2 backs. You got Tyler Allgeier, you got James Conner. I think for what Mike LaFleur does, Tyler Allgeier will get 60% of the workload. The rest of it will, be left to James Conner and Trey Benson. And I think James Conner probably gets about 30% of that. To me, I think if he's going to take a page out of that book, what the Rams have done consistently over the years is they've used two backs until they can't use those two backs anymore. That is just kind of what Sean McVay believes in, and that's how he rolls. And realistically, not just Sean McVay. I mean, if you go all the way back to Shanahan back in Atlanta with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, like that is what this offense is kind of predicated around. It's having two backs that can run the system, and that's just what it is. And so I believe that Tyler Allgeier offers a little bit more pop, a little bit more agility, gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of like the scheme that you can run. But I do think having the 1-2 punch, if James Conner is that guy that can just get downhill and he doesn't have to be in there 80% of the time, this can be great for the Cardinals. Like, this is not a bad problem to have. And Trey Benson, you keep a third guy fresh. He's a guy that can, has some pop as well. And at some point, because James Conner is an older back, and I'm not saying that, something's going to happen, but the reality of it is running back is a hard position in the league. And so Trey Benson will be able to come in and spell him at certain points in times, and you'll just have a good mix of guys that have unique skill sets, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then when you look at it, the big picture is not 2026. You got to see what Trey Benson is for the future. They've got him through 2028. So you want to talk about cheap contracts? His contracts were $6 million over. He got drafted in 2024 and he signed a 4-year deal. Oh no, so 2027. So he's through next year.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I did my bad math. So, but you're looking at the future like this is probably James Conner's last year. He took a significant pay cut. He's like, he loves Arizona, dude. He loves being a part of this team. He just does.
He loves paying for lunches. He loves it.
He loves being here. So you're going to see Tyler Allgeier supplanting James Conner as the bruiser. And if they already have their second back, they're ahead of the game. That's one less thing that they have to worry about. So this is the competition for Trey Benson is him against himself this year. Like, you want to be on the roster in 2027, you'll have a big role alongside Tyler Allgeier with what's set to be a stacked offense with a really, really efficient offensive scheme. So the competition is him against himself. I mean, for me, the biggest one is Michael Wilson. Like, if we're talking about position battles, I know this is internal and not with somebody else that's signed. I know Kendrick Bourne's there. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the Tinker Take parade. Everybody's watching the entirety of the season. You hope everybody's healthy the entire year, and let's see who Jacoby likes more. Like, that's really what it's going to be. Let's see who gets open more. Because Jamil thinks it's Michael Wilson. I'm 80%. I think it's Michael Wilson, but
it is so far.
The ceiling, I cannot stress this enough. The ceiling for Marvin Harrison Jr. is significantly higher than Michael Wilson's.
Yeah, this is a scary situation for Marvin Harrison Jr. Yes, it is for Marvin Harrison Jr.
No. Sorry. I meant different thing. But
is the ceiling higher? I do think Marv's ceiling is higher. Yes.
This is scary for Marv. This is scary for Marv for one reason, right? Because the offense that you're about to be running, the number 2 receiver has always eaten, and so if you're deemed the X, the Z has always eaten in this offense. We can track it back to, again, a Shanahan days, and Mohamed Sanu was eating. That's just what it is. And so I truly believe that is the unspoken competition is like, you got a guy who is supposed to be your number 1 receiver. Well, Michael Wilson just plays differently, and that is going to be the elephant in the room. I truly believe he's going to be the go-to guy outside of the regular Trey McBride. We know that he's a guaranteed lock. We know he's getting targets, but Michael Wilson he's going to put some pressure on Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think it's going to be, I think you're going to look at it and be like, this is the X. Like, this is even though he's not lined up as the X, this is your number 1 receiver.
I don't like how it is turned into a hot take to say Michael Wilson right now is just better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Now,
I wouldn't. Well, first of all, I'm not saying that that's true either. Michael Wilson was an afterthought until week 7 of last season.
So the reasoning why behind it is because everyone says, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. was nerfed by Drew Petzing. Why wasn't Michael Wilson? That's
I
my
wouldn't say
argument.
he's better, but I'm production wise.
Fine,
Michael
productive.
Wilson. Michael Wilson is far more productive than Marvin Harrison Jr.
He was the second half of last season. He was a non-story his first 2 years in the league. So let's not glamorize this and say, oh, he's just been like this unsung hero that nobody talks about. You can put it on Kyler Murray, you can put it on the offense, you can put it on whatever the hell you want. Marv had almost 1,000 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns his rookie season. Okay, so it's not like he never produced. His ceiling is higher than Michael Wilson's because it just is. Like, wow, that's terrible. That's like a hashtag trust me, bro. Like, Marv, the wow plays from Marv. We haven't seen a wow play from Michael Wilson. There's a couple go routes last year that were, he was very, he can catch contortedly and land and catch the ball. Like, we've seen it. But Marv's shimmy on the line against the Cowboys at the 2-yard line where Trayvon Diggs just imploded and he was wide open for a touchdown. Not everybody can do that. Like, he makes little things look easy. It's Kyler Murray stuff. He's Kyler Murray. Now, if he can have his floor raise,
6'5",
dude. I'm saying he's Kyler Murray with the peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Like, if you tell me Marvin Harrison Jr. overtakes that role and nobody questions that again next year, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This is his grave or heaven for him in 20. It's one or the other. They're trading him at the end of this season if it doesn't work.
I think there's a world. You want to get clickbaity? I think there's a world. I think there's a world he could get traded at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
it's probably not gonna happen. But if he has that kind of up and down season again, same quarterback, new better offensive line, new head coach, and Michael Wilson's just eating, you might want to get as much as you can out for him while you can. I mean,
Michael Wilson's going to eat. He's going to eat.
We know he's going to.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Jamil, let me ask you this. You love Michael Wilson. Okay. We know the offense with Puka and Devontae, they aggressively target people who are open, and they're usually the 2 best receivers. Yeah. So with Kendrick Bourne coming in, do you think, and I said that has,
I love Kendrick Bourne.
It could impact Marv, and I'm not saying directly, but Kendrick Bourne did in a small sample size last year what Michael Wilson did for 10 weeks.
He did it
when everybody went out with the 49ers. He was a fantasy darling for a handful of weeks.
Uh-huh.
Do you think Marv, and now take away your Michael Wilson bias for just a second, in this offense, do you think Marv has the capability to do what Michael Wilson did last year?
No, because I don't believe that he runs routes and he's decisive as Michael Wilson is.
Not as strong.
I don't believe, even if we chalk it up to Puka Nacua, if we're just mirroring the offense, like Puka Nacua goes across the middle, he does, he timing routes, like he's just a little different in terms of how they approach the game. I think my Michael Wilson bias is based off style of play. And, we talk about, him doing what he did last year. Listen, a lot of receivers are hanging it up at that point, and he was still out there attacking the ball, running crisp routes, going up and getting it, like high pointing the ball. And that kind of shows me everything I need to know about a receiver, because if you're doing that when we're down and our coach is basically his seat is hot, then, oh man, how are you going to act when the ball is getting spread around the right way, and you're really able to you're just able to play ball, and know that everything is good. That's all I needed to see out of a receiver,
Yeah. And one last thing, I know we got to pivot. Sorry. This is not a Cardinals thing. This is a Marv thing. Let's make it very clear that if he gets traded somewhere else, I'd be shocked if we saw something different.
Yep.
This is not, I push back against the Cardinals with pretty much everything. This is not an institutional thing. This is a between the ears thing for Marv. So you hope it succeeds. You hope they compete. I hope Michael Wilson gets an extension, puts even more pressure on Marv, because I want to see what the kid's got when everything is on the line for him with the Cardinals, at least.
One thing we didn't talk about that might be interesting down the line is How are both guys and Trey McBride going to eat and have a good running game?
Those are called champagne problems.
Good problem. It's a good problem. It's an interesting conversation to have later on in the offseason. With that being said, why is the rebuild going to work? I'm going to cite 2023 again, Clancy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Let's do it next. Woo! Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at Robinhood. What is sports? We're traded like markets. Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood LLC, a registered future commissions merchant and swap firm. So let's every time we do this show, I know I'm a little bit more doom and gloom when it comes to this because it's hard for me to trust this regime now. It's hard for me to trust the Cardinals now. But every time we do this, twice a week, the hopes get raised a little bit from you two, who seem to be a little bit more higher. And I start to buy into a little bit. But the main question is, the Cardinals have been rebuilding since I was born. I want to know why this. I want to know why this rebuild is going to be different. It really feels like they are rolling back a lot of the same tendencies of 2023. And it feels like, remember Clancy last year, you told me it was aliens when I said, no, of course there's a world where Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort could get fired. And you're like, it's not going to happen. It's aliens. Well, aliens showed up, Clancy, and Jonathan Gannon got fired.
I didn't use aliens for that.
I'm gonna find it, Clancy.
I'm gonna find it. What I said was young Padawan. Is that Star Wars? I don't know. I don't watch
Star Wars.
Jamil does for sure. Come on, dude.
Jamil,
no, what I said was there was a bet. If you told me Jonathan Gannon was either going to win Coach of the Year and the Cardinals were going to win 12 games, or they were going to win under 5 and he was going to get fired, I would have said the Coach of the Year stuff. That's as far as how long I said with that. Jamil, why will this rebuild work?
You want me to go? You want me to go now?
Yeah, okay,
all right. Well, hey, sometimes you got to argue what you really believe in, right, Clancy? Listen, the only reason this rebuild is going to work is because there's some freshness around the building, right? You have finally moved on from Kyler Murray, right? Not only that, you got some core players, some young core players. You've got some guys on offense, right? You got your Marv, you got your Michael, your Treys, you got your Tylers. You've got young talent on defense, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson. You got some guys, right? The biggest thing is 2027, man. Got a lot of money that you're going to be able to spend. They could sign 1 million Ben Garcias if they wanted to. Probably more than that. He's probably going to be very low on the free agent list. And so that to me is the biggest thing. What's to come? Right now you've got a solid core. I wouldn't call it a great core, but it's solid, right? You've got pieces in where if you can obviously stay healthy, which has been a big topic with the Cardinals, but if you can get those guys to 2027 where you've got the money to kind of spend and allocate and do the things you need to do, then it gives me some hope. I hope that was convincing.
It wasn't at all.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, that's
bad
try.
Bad
try.
Yeah.
Because
I appreciate the effort though.
Yeah. So you don't.
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. Why? Because Mike LaFleur he's got me a little nervous. Got me a little nervous, like first time head coach, calling it, it's going to be a lot. Like, this is not going to be a walk in the park. There's a reason only a handful of guys are head coaches and also call it. And there's only out of that handful, there's a couple good ones that can really manage the whole thing as a whole, and they are savages. And so, is Mike LaFleur that savage? That's what I've got to find out.
Haircut says no.
I've got to figure out. Haircut's been a little crazy.
The haircut says no.
But I got to find that out seriously, because that's a whole different beast. And you can go down the list of guys who have tried it. There's a select few that are really capable of doing it.
I agree with that. Like, why will it work? Let's put it this way. And this is the long shot mentality. This is the Cinderella story, March Madness mentality here. If it works, they're an NFC contender in 2027.
Yep.
Like, truly, if it works.
I agree with
that. Now, the problem is, the mind screw of it is, they probably got to draft Ty Simpson and have it work to expedite the process that much to be able to take advantage of the $200 million and all of those draft picks and put it all together in in 2 seasons. Like, you can't do it with Jacoby Brissett, obviously, and chances are you're not going to be able to do it with a rookie in 2027. It will work if it's going to work. People stay healthy this year. They win more games than people think they're going to. Screw the pick. They're going to pick top 15. Okay, it doesn't matter. They're probably not going to pick top 3. I truly don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think they got enough talent to win some games, regardless of how the murderous row is in the NFC West. So say they win 6 games this year. Just say, hypothetically speaking, they win 6 games. They show enough proof of concept with Mike LaFleur on offense to attract free agents with all of the money they have to spend. It could work immediately. Or what the other side is, Mike LaFleur and Monti Ossenfort are both fired at the end of 2020.
Crash and burn.
It's one or the other. And then you
barbecue chicken.
Thanks, Shaq. You waste the thing that very few teams get. $200 million. Everything off the books outside of like 5 contracts, what they signed this year, the rookies and who they extend this offseason. $7 million dead cap hit from Kyler Murray, and the rest to spend. You can't say Michael Bidwill is not going to spend, because he has to. Legally, as an owner, he has to spend money.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend the money, but it'll work if they figure out the quarterback position. It's going to have to be Ty Simpson, and he's going to have to be good
and that's
for that actually to work in 2 years. I know,
massive.
But that's how it will work.
If we're talking March Madness, what seed are they, Clancy?
14.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's fair. That's what I thought. Not exactly a 16, a first 4 in team. I don't have a lot to say on this because I'm skeptical. What I will say is, if it's going to work, it's going to work because Mike LaFleur is awesome.
Yeah. Well,
that's my take. That's my take on it. Is like you had said, Jamil, a lot of the old stuff is gone. The big main thing, like if you're talking about, like, I cover the Suns and people were like, why didn't they do anything in the offseason? I was like, they did. They fired Mike Budenholzer and they brought in Jordan Knott. That was your big move. Cardinals, it could be the same way. Their big move was they brought in Mike LaFleur. And if, taking a Jamil point, if it comes out and you see the structure and it optically looks better, even if they lose games, you can't measure his success like next year in wins and losses. And if they do that, you feel good about it with Jacoby Brissett maybe being better than we all think, even more so than last year, a little bit more of a balanced offense. Then you get your quarterback next year. You've got more belief in it. And then I can say, oh, that's how it's going to happen. What I won't say is I don't think the rebuild is going to work because Monti Ossenfort is going to turn into an elite level, Howie Roseman level GM. And I think it's all on Mike, really. I think it's really all on Mike LaFleur and what he can do. Yeah.
So again, just as a refresher for people that don't remember, Howie Roseman was 1 foot out the door with Doug Peterson, was there in Carson Wentz.
That is true.
Yeah. He wasn't a good GM, and then he said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to trade for everybody. Les Snead, with the Jeff Fisher years, was almost out the door. He took a chance on Sean McVay, and now he's God's gift to GMs. Like, quite literally, he was on the way out the door.
It's very similar to LaFleur.
For not firing Les Snead. And then as Jamil has said, man, Jamil, you're getting some shout-outs today. As Jamil has said, and what I've said coupling that with the Cardinals is, what I said with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury specifically, if the offense isn't the strength, why is he here? And the offense was never the strength. It was more liability with some flashes. If the Cardinals find an identity with an offense that works, with the talented skill position players they already have, that's how it'll work. it's Mike LaFleur as a coach, yes, but it's how he runs the offense more so than anything. Like, yo, you can trust the offense. Cool. I don't remember the last time you were able to trust either side of the ball 80% of the time with this team. Quite literally, since 2015. Like, it's been a long ass time since you'd be able to trust one side of the ball for 80% of the time.
Even in the Cliff Kingsbury years, it was not. People, if they remember those very fondly, it was really good for 9 weeks, and then it fell off a cliff.
There was no victory formation those times, dude.
Steeply.
No victory formation. Yeah, it just wasn't it. So, to quote the philosopher, Jamil Douglas, the 17th of Greek Roman times.
Yeah,
they need to have an identity, and the identity needs to be the offense, because if it's not, ain't no way he's coaching through 2027 or 2028.
Jamil, how you liking covering a team in midway through the offseason that is probably not going to be too great next year? You loving it? Every moment of it?
On top for life, baby.
It's great, guys. This is great. This is awesome. Love it.
Do us a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow us on all social media platforms down in the episode description below, whether in the show notes on audio or on YouTube, the episode descriptions. Appreciate everyone being here. We'll be here. It's actually a lot more people I thought would be here in the dead of the offseason. The everydayers showing out. Do us a favor.
Woo!
Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Appreciate you guys being here. And we will see you again next Tuesday at 4 p.m. See ya.